We're going to go ahead and disassemble the factory bumper off of this TJ so we can install the rock hard 4x4 bumper. Something I want to point out is if you notice how low this factory trailer hitch is, it's 16 inches to the bottom of the receiver. Now, when we install our rock hard 4x4 bumper, we're going to bring the trailer hitch up here. The reason that is because you're always hitting it when you're coming off of rocks or obstacles when you're out wheeling. One of the added benefits to our rock hard 4x4 bumper is the trailer hitch is going to be taller. To remove the rear bumper end caps, you're going to use a Torx 27. You're going to remove 2 screws here on the top, one here, another one here, and another one on the front side. So there's 5 screws that hold the end caps on each side. Once you remove those screws, go ahead and pull the end caps out of place. One thing nice about our TJ rear bumper is it's a closed box system so that you don't have debris and stuff collecting inside your frame rails. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the factory rear bumper. This is going to be done by using an 18mm ratchet or an end wrench or a ratcheting wrench on each side. There'll be 2 bolts on each side. Now, if you are working on a CJ7 or a YJ, sometimes there's what they call bumperettes, and they were a piece of metal bent in a U shape here, and they mounted with these 2 bolts on the outside and the 2 on the inside. And go ahead and remove those now also. Now, we're going to go ahead and remove the rear bumper. Now, as you can see in the previous photos, this had a factory trailer hitch on it. We went ahead and removed that as it was kind of hard to film as the bolts were pretty rusty. They had been on there for quite a while in the mud and muck. So what we've went to do is we've went ahead and removed that. Now we're going to head and remove the rear bumper. We've removed the bumperettes, plastic end pieces, and removed the nuts from each side. We'll go ahead and remove this out of the way now. I want to talk to you a little bit about some differences that we've seen out there in the Jeeps. Now, on a CJ7, CJ5, and a YJ, and your earlier model TJs, you're not only going to have the 2 mounting holes out at the outer side, but you're also going to have 2 more here. Okay? Now, if your Jeep is not equipped with the inner 2 holes, we want you to put those in there. And so you may have to drill the 2 holes. What you'll do is you're going to take the lower section of the bumper, mount it up as we're going to show, and then mark the other center holes. First of all, what I want to do is we're going to show you how to mark the rear holes to where you're going to have to drill the rear cross member on a TJ where it's not, where they're not drilled through. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold the bumper in place. We're going to stick 2 bolts coming from the forward side going backwards so we can set the rear bumper on. And then we're going to install the 2 plates, one on each side, and a nut just to hold it in place so that we can mark our inner bolt holes. We've taken the outer plate here, which is one of the 4 plates, went ahead and took some of the gold bolts, put them through the cross member coming back, and went ahead and bolted the bumper up. Now you'll notice that there is 3 openings and we're only bolting to 2. This is designed so that you can mount the bumper up 1 inch or level with the rear cross member. Because this particular Jeep didn't have the inner set of holes, we've taken a magic marker and went ahead and marked the openings in here. And then I've set this plate right here and marked it up here so that I know where my holes are going to line up, so that we can go ahead now and lower this bumper down in place and go ahead and drill our holes in the rear cross member. Now that we went ahead and marked the holes, we're using a 1/2 inch drill bit. We're going to go ahead and drill the rear cross member on each side of where we're going to put our inner set of bolt holes. Now we're going to go ahead and put the bolts going backwards through the frame kit, the rear cross member, through the bumper. We're going to take one of the 4 plates. These are the 4 that are the same. We're going to sit this in here as a big washer. Next, we're going to use a flat washer and a lock washer and a nut on each bolt. Now that we've went ahead and installed the nuts here on the outer 2 sets of bolts and this plate, okay, we're going to go ahead and do the inner ones. Now, the inner ones, we drilled the cross member, okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to center the bumper side to side. Okay, as you can see, there's an adjustment here. The other thing there's an adjustment up and down. If you notice here, we've brought this bumper up to get a better departure angle. For people that don't want that, they can put it on the lower set of slots here. This bumper is adjustable up and down 1 inch. Makes it so you can install it with or without a body mount set up on your Jeep. If you have a body lift where you space it up, go ahead and put it up. Either way, the biggest thing we want to do is make sure you have a great departure angle coming off of the boulders and obstacles that you're going to be on. Now that we've installed the bolts through the frame brace kit, through the rear cross member, and into the rear bumper with our plate and nut washers and lock washers attached, we're going to go ahead and do the inner set of bolts on each side. We've already drilled the rear cross member with the 7/16 bit. Now we're going to go ahead and take the bolts that go across the back of the fuel tank skid down so that we can lower that down in place to get our hands up in there to get our bolts and plates in place. Now we're going to be removing the 13 millimeter nuts that hold the fuel tank skid in place. This will allow us to lower it down slightly so that we can get our hands in there to get our plates installed. Now that we've lowered the gas tank down, that will allow us access to this rear crossmember to get to our inner set of bolts where we're going to put the 2 plates, the 2 that are odd out of the 6, and the bolts. And the bolts are going to go through the rear crossmember going forward. We're going to use the bolts that have the little spades on them also in your hardware kit. That'll keep them from turning on the inside of the frame. Okay, now that we've went ahead and installed all 8 bolts going across the rear of the crossmember into the bumper with the plates, with the washers and the lock washers and the nuts, we're going to go ahead and use an 11/16 end wrench and tighten these down.